Okay. So we'll see you guys. Wash
I'll
your
stick,
hands.
yeah, we'll stick around.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Who knows? You could get a couple clients by the by the end of the interview. All
Shut
right.
up.
Okay. So let's go ahead and unmute Chubby, Steve, and Roman. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Morning, guys.
I guess we'll just start right with the reaction of this case that's filed at the district court. And Steve, I guess we'll start with you. Your thoughts on this class action lawsuit that was just filed by Tom Fisher and Tom Peinhoff.
Well, I think when Bree asked me yesterday if I could come on, and thanks for having me on, my response to her was basically it's all about complying to survive right now.
Right.
And you look at the things that are being asked of us as citizens and as business owners, and I'm pretty sure Chubby and Rome can attest that we've done everything that has been asked of us. Most especially in the case of my business, public health did not have any type of guidance in regards to opening up jiu-jitsu academies, and I formulated the guidance to help them. I didn't even get a response back. We've done everything. We've done our due diligence. We've gone above and beyond what the government has asked us to do, and we are not working. And it's just not healthy. I don't think COVID is the end all of public health. I think mental health and spiritual health is just as important, if not as important. And a lot of people are suffering right now due to the inaction of our government. So I'd like to thank all the legal counsel that came on this morning that is technically fighting for us one way or the other. So hopefully we can get back together. Things are not looking so good, but hopefully they get better.
Right, Steve, let me just ask you, because you guys are in the same category as bar owners like Mr. Peinhoff, in that you're the last of the last of the last of the Chamoricans to open in the event. I mean, I don't even know if it's, does it take a vaccine or what? P-Core 3, right? And so how would you guys do jiu-jitsu safely? Because Lord knows we have a lot of people who do jits on Guam. And I mean, if you came up with a plan shared with us, how would you be able to do jiu-jitsu while still maintaining and adhering to all those protocols for the COVID?
Well, we've encouraged testing amongst our members to make sure that they get tested frequently. We ask them to monitor themselves and their families and understand the risk that's being involved with COVID, during this COVID crisis, the risk being involved with COVID and conducting yourself in something such as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We did I think one of the customers came into the academy and said, doing jiu-jitsu is like being in a Muslim mosque because we're washing our feet, we're washing our hands, I've got the air purified. Man, we purified the air only to find out that the CDC rescinded its mandates on how the virus is non-aerosol now.
Right.
And I'm not trying to bash anybody. This thing is constantly changing. I think the governor uses the phrase fluid.
Rapidly evolving, right? Also rapidly evolving.
Yeah, I understand that, but I live with my mom. She's 86 years old. She's a WW2 survivor, and she's very, very simple in her reasoning. And she just says, if you're sick, stay home. I mean, I think that's obviously the best advice that we could give everyone is if you're sick, stay home, and everyone else that's not sick, stay away from the sick people.
Right. Let's bring it over to Chubby. Chubby, Jesse Rosario, Boca Box, you have a really interesting case, and I've heard so much about this, and it's just so unfortunate that we talk about businesses closing during this pandemic. There are businesses that are trying to open during this pandemic, and they can't open because Rev and Tax isn't open. They can't get a permit from Public Health because Public Health is on a P-Core 1, and there's all these wraparound services that businesses like yours need to open their doors that just aren't being provided, you know, and how's that affected Boca Box?
Well, morning, everybody.
Morning.
Thanks for having me on. You know, I feel that everyone's struggling. We're struggling hard. You know, we closed down on the first lockdown that hurt us, but you know, we did get assistance from some of those grants and those loans that came out. We did whatever we could to help our employees and help our business, and then we were just kind of managing our business. And then when the second lockdown happened, we were in transition to move into our new location, and then everything got shut down. And I understand that from the government perspective, things are hard. I always view the situation as, I may be frustrated because as a business owner, I'm not making an income. I have no way to support my, personally, I'm not bringing in anything to the table. I have to kind of rely on my wife. And that kind of hurts because I need to bring something to the table too. But I wouldn't want to be in the governor or the lieutenant governor or the positions. I wouldn't want to be in their shoes. This is a hard thing to tackle. I'm going to speak for my business only, and I'm not one to go out publicly and talk about my frustrations and all of that. But I feel like if you're going to go out there with and publicly complain or talk about your issues, then there needs to be some sort of solution from your end. Like Professor Burt said, there's a lot of businesses out there like mine that are doing everything we can, and like his, that are abiding by the rules and changing their whole system around to make sure that their staff, their families, their customers are all safe. And it takes one bad apple to ruin the bunch, and it's very unfortunate, but that's where we're at. Now, if I have no solution to figure out how to open up businesses and at the same time to keep the island safe, and then to me, that's the biggest problem is yes, from a business standpoint, it's hard because we're not making money, but I feel that, I personally trust in our island. I trust that our government, our people are going to come through, and the businesses that are really struggling, we're going to get back on our feet. But I don't think that it's fair to say that, we have to put businesses first because, every life is very important, and we can't bring back those that have passed away. We can always bring back the businesses and do whatever we can to make sure our businesses progress after this and come back, but we can't bring these people back. So, from that standpoint, it's very hard to make those decisions. But yeah, it was very frustrating for me to move my location and then work on trying to open up because I had everything in place. I had no intention of closing the Boca Box in P-Core 2, but that's what happened. And, day to day, I sit down with my wife and my family, and we talk about the situation, and we've come to the realization that, maybe this is a blessing in disguise for not only me, but for my customers and my staff, because, who knows what could have happened. We're fortunate that everyone's healthy and safe. And we're just going to take it as it is and just wait for things to come our way. But, we're waiting patiently. We do want to open up as soon as we can, but I'm not gonna, push any buttons. I'm not gonna, poke the bear and get things agitated. I'm just, trying to kind of do what I can to move my business forward, get open, and keep my family. We've come to the realization that,
Okay, let's go to Rome. Roman De La Cruz, of course, small business owner. I know you operate Fuckeye among a few other things, but Roma, just we'll give you the floor and your take on this lawsuit and opening the economy.
Right, and I think with the Fuckeye, you guys actually, because of the P-Core 1 modification last week Friday for the curbside pickup, you guys were able to open for, I guess, curbside only.
Non-essential retail,
right?
Curbside, right?
Yes, correct. Hafide, and thanks for having me on. I'm here also with the business side of the company, Carlo. But yes, what do I think about that whole thing? I think it's really, I think it's, first of all, I think it's really sad that businesses have to resort to having to sue the government in order to move forward with their business. I understand that sense of desperation, and it's a shame that our administration or our law or whoever is responsible for it has led us to this sense of desperation. It's like cannibalism. We're being forced to eat our own. Our big issue right now is understanding that our economy is struggling, our resources are depleted, and right now everybody's trying to. I think a lot of people are trying to take the high road on how to function with this situation. But when you see how much the private businesses are suffering, and then you see gross misuse of money and misuse of authority, and these things, it becomes really disheartening. For the most part, we look to our leaders for pillars of strength, and it's at this point right now where we feel like not all, but a lot of the decisions that are being made are an extra burden that we have to carry along with this whole extremely unfortunate incident, so we're grateful that they were able to finally give us curbside, restore that curbside thing, so it helps us to be somewhat functional again. And I think I see that there's a lot of businesses out there that have been kind of like getting renegade and opening their businesses, but for the most part, I think it's important for us to be law compliant. The last thing that we need is disorder, and that's where the frustrations are, is because for those that are trying to be to be compliant, and then seeing all these irresponsible, inconsiderate decisions being made, sensing the lack of urgency that is endlessly being reported towards a citizen, and prioritize, it's really it's very non-motivating.
Yeah, it is. It is, Roman. You're right. There's just so many inconsistencies where you have, one type of business that's deemed non-essential, not allowed to open, but then because somebody's politically connected to someone, you can go buy a car by appointment only. There's really, like Tom Fisher had said, there's no rhyme or reason to a lot of this stuff. But let me ask you guys, could it have been different if there was more dialogue? Instead of these pronouncements coming out from Adelup once a week where, hey, you're locked down for another week. See you next Thursday. We'll announce you're locked down for another week, and I'll keep doing it for 5 weeks. Because it almost seems like, and I don't even want to use the word inconsiderate, but I talk with these business owners that meet with the governor, and what they tell me is they're scared. They can't say anything because the governor's going to get mad if they say anything, that the governor's going to extend the lockdown if they come out on the link and talk about how their business should be open. And it's really unfortunate because we're not talking about small business owners. We're talking about the people who actually have a seat at the table with the governor, saying that they've got a tippy toe around the governor's ego so that they can, survive. I mean, it's really unfortunate, and it is what it is. I'm just calling it like I see it. I've been told it a million times from a million different business owners. But could it have been different, guys, if the governor maybe had shown more compassion, maybe had, opened the dialogue to more business owners instead of the ones that just support her? So could it have been different, I guess? And Rome, we'll just start with you.
I absolutely agree. It could have been different. I think that what we were looking for there was a lack of urgency, a lack of credibility, not just from her. I mean, not always from her, you know what I mean? But in cases across the government. And I think there could have been a lot more consideration. I think right now, maybe it's a little bit off tangent, but there has to be a sense of urgency right now because with all this federal assistance that we've been able to lean on as U.S. citizens, it's been great. But because of all this forced closure, and I think you guys have dialed in on this right now, because of this forced closure, the forced long time closure of all these businesses, all this stimulation or whatever, all these monies are leaving island, and that's further weakening our economy. So if a pandemic, false projections, and misspending of money hasn't created the sense of urgency to really push forward, like grind it out, man, really push, prioritize the solutions, as citizens, we have to, I mean, as angry as we are, we don't want to focus on any problems. You know, I think that for the most part, despite the dissatisfactions, I think that, you know, I think our governor's heart is in the right place. You know, it's just about how do we get her and everybody else in government to line up and let's just say, okay, let's go try to bring out our best. And the way to bring out your best, I think, is through hard work. You know, so if they can really move forward on it, you know, understand that despite that, maybe a lot of people are aggravated and almost desperate right now. For the most part, we all stand by the same flag. And right now, all of these things right now, all of, all these negative things that are being said are not to attack our government or our governor or anybody in particular. For the most part, these things are being said to defend, you know what I mean? Defend our people, you know? So,
right. Yeah. Steve, let's go over to Steve real quick. Steve, and this is kind of what I'm talking about is you as a small business guy, you know that you don't want to sit around and wait for GovGuam to tell you how to operate. So you come up with a plan, you send it in, you don't even get a response.
Yeah, 100%, Chris. Communication, I think, at this time is very, very key in regards to the government just talking to us and letting us know what's happening. In between the two lockdowns, we didn't hear anything we went from daily press conferences to not hearing anything in between the two lockdowns. And, you know, my question for our leadership is, what were you guys doing in between the last lockdown and this lockdown? You know, was there a plan being made for what was going to happen potentially? Because we kept talking about a second wave, and obviously, well, you guys talk about it every morning, the fact that there is no plan. You know, the government says one thing and then they enact another. When you talk about businesses such as gyms, bars, and nurseries being the last to open up, you know, the government was very concrete on saying, oh, we're not going to open up till PCOR 3, but in between PCOR, oh, you know, now we have PCOR 2.5. I get it. Nothing's concrete. We're dealing with this on a moment-to-moment reality basis. But in that instance, yes, you are 100% correct, Chris. More communication from the government to the business owners would be essential, most especially since social media is so predominant. I want to hear it from the boss's mouth rather than to hear it on my social media or my chats. I think that would help tremendously.
Right.
And just to, I mean, I think it's ironic if you look at every great horror movie, it always starts with a government official not listening to a scientist or doctor.
I have a question, Steve. You know, throughout this whole pandemic, and where we are today, are you, I don't know, scared at all about the future of your business? The possibility that you might have to close? I mean, permanently?
I'm extremely scared at the fact that the government oversight is not going to allow businesses such as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu academies to operate. They're telling us to shut down. Imagine that, it's unprecedented. We're being told not to work. And we're not, and they're not telling us when we can get back to work. And I'm sorry, I have not applied for any government loans. I have not gotten any government assistance, any rent relief. I have, you know, thank God for Cowboy Realty, my renter that's allowed me to have, you know, deferred rent, but I haven't gotten any help from the government. I am afraid that they don't have a plan to open back up safely. I am afraid that since they don't have a plan to open back up safely, they're just going to kill businesses such as mine. And you look, I think that's a direct correlation to how we're having kids go to school online now. I mean, I can't teach jiu-jitsu online. It just doesn't translate like that. And my students don't want it either. My students want to get back on the mat. They understand the risks that are associated with training jiu-jitsu or having contact in a COVID environment. And incidentally, from the last PCOR 2.5, when they did allow bars, nurseries, and gyms to open till the time that we were shut down again, we went 95 days of training, no COVID incidents, zero. And I think that's because of the hard work and diligence and awareness that my clients and my students were taking in regards to COVID.
Yeah.
We're being responsible about it. I'm asking that the government allow us to continue to be responsible for ourselves as well, instead of all of this oversight.
Right. Chubby, let's bring it over to you. Chubby, you seem, and I agree, and I know in talking to you over the course of this pandemic that you're really keyed in on the public health side of this whole debate. I mean, so much so that in hearing your opening comments that you've, compromised your business and you've made a lot of sacrifices because you didn't want to expose your employees or your customers to the spread of the virus. So when we talk about reopening the economy, I noticed that your comments are really tempered and that you don't want to be that guy who's just like, Lulian Guerrero, bad. And I'm not trying to be that guy either. I'm just saying, like, I really feel, no, I'm not. I mean, how hard would it have been to have town hall Zoom meetings I mean, really, that's all it would have taken if she had like folded you guys into a conversation and said, hey, this is why I'm making these decisions. This is why I'm doing it. I understand it's hard, but we're doing it for this. You know what I mean, Mosqueda, and talk to you guys like once, I don't know, a month. I mean, she's got all these economic, Gita, what are they doing? They should have been folding you guys into this conversation and talking about this instead of dangling this PCOR 3 carrot in front of the whole island, and while we just suck it and hold our breath and wait for things to get better. I mean, it's sad. And that's all it would have taken is a little bit of communication.
I think things could have been differently. I think there is a big gap in communication between the government and the people. I mean, that's why every single day I wake up and I tune into you guys because I want to know what the hell's going on, I do feel that, the government is very reactive in their decisions versus proactive. A big thing for mine was when I was moving, I couldn't get movers to come in because construction was shut down. But they allowed construction inside the base. So I was trying to make calls to figure out, like, hey, what's the protocol? How do I move forward? How do I move? How do I get all the inspections? But I mean, call me an optimist, but I think things happen for a reason. And for me personally, whenever things happen like this, even with the first lockdown, I always have to take a step back. And I have kind of trained myself to look at things in a different perspective, because I can always complain about what's going on and sit in my house and drink beer, eat food, and just get fat and complain all day. But, that's not going to do anything good for me. But I do think that what has been going on has given businesses like mine and maybe a whole bunch of other businesses time to really sit back, because I complain a lot when I'm in business about I'm so busy in the kitchen, I don't have time to do this, I don't have time to do that. So this situation has given me time to really take a step back and reevaluate my operations. And it's given me time to think about how, like Roman said, we have to move forward, but how do we do that? And that's the big thing for me is businesses like mine, if one of my staff becomes COVID positive, do I have to shut down my whole operation once I've already made all these protocols in place that kind of take care of that? Or do I just send that person home like they were just sick, and ask everyone to get tested? I don't want to have to shut down again, and I'm not gonna survive another shutdown, and I have to look at ways to really move forward. And I think that's the biggest thing, is how can we move forward? I've talked to a whole bunch of other of my friends who are in the same kind of business field, and we're all talking about, okay, we have to look more to online ordering. How do we get our systems up for that? Retail's opened up, and I tried to purchase something from a retail agency the other day. I wanted to show my son how to be in the water and to bodyboard, but I don't have a bodyboard for him. So I went looking for one, but my problem was, how do I know what these stores have in stock? And I think it kind of pushes us again to adapt. So, I take this time to look at how I can get the information for my business out to the public, how I can still stay in business. And, fortunately, I'm in a business where people need to eat, and I feel for Professor Burt because, my son's really into jiu-jitsu. I love jiu-jitsu. I've been doing it for years. Started off with Professor Burt and Roman long in early 2000s. And, it's, we both want to step back on the mat, but, how do we do that? Professor Burt's done a good job at putting protocols in place. I don't know what some of the other gyms have been doing, but, again, it's how do we move forward, and how do we move forward with the government right beside us and us right beside them, where we're all kind of in the same place. And I know not everyone is going to like the decisions that's being made, but like Roman, I believe that the governor and her people have Guam in their hearts, and they have us in their best interest. But it's hard. It's going to be hard for all of us.
So we've got to wrap this up, and so we're just going to give everybody about a minute each to close out. And I will start with you, Roman. Just your final comments, maybe even your message to, I guess, the powers that be.
My final comments. First, I would like to really thank the Breeze, not just for this single opportunity. I think the kind of questions that you're ready to ask, and the posture and the position and the commitment that you're giving to serving the community is priceless. Thank you guys very much for that. Those questions are great. And then to the powers that be, hey man, step on it, man. Urgent. It's been urgent already since March. We're suffering here. You might not see it. Try to come down to our perspective and work.
Thanks, Rom.
Thanks, Rom.
That's what I got to say. I don't think that there's been enough ethic. I'm instead of just we're months in, and our only main solution is to run and hide. We should have learned from this. It's not like COVID even though COVID is new, it's not like it had invented the problem. We should have emergency response. We have these exercises that have been in place. We should be more advanced than we are right now. Condolences to all the people that are suffering, and that have lost. Sympathy for everybody who's suffering. We're suffering here with you too. We're trying to make the best of it, but remember, at the very least, it's COVID in paradise. So go out there, see the sun, see outside, because for everything that we might not have, at least we have that. So prayers for everyone.
Right on, Rome. Definitely sound like a jits guy with that work.
Steve, I don't think you can do a curbside jiu-jitsu. Any final comments?
Yeah, curbside jiu-jitsu is not happening anytime soon. It's hard to roll on the concrete. So I guess my message to our leadership is come up with a plan, Governor. Don't keep making it a numbers game. If the numbers go up, we shut down. When the numbers go down, we open up. I don't think that's a plan. I think that was the plan that was being used prior to this second lockdown. I hope you guys have something better than just open, close, open, close. I think it's got to be a little bit more deeper than that. And I think what you guys touched on in regards to communicating with the people that are suffering is going to be key. Hear us out. Hear what we have to say. I know it's tough, but that's what you guys are getting paid for. Hear us out. Hear what we have to say, and maybe we can help each other come to a better solution. And again, condolences and prayers to anybody who's been affected by COVID. We're all being affected as well, and let's get together and work. You got to get to work.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Truby.
Well, thank you guys for having me on. I look forward to your show every single morning, keeping all of us updated. But I think, besides washing your hands, wearing a mask. I think we're forgetting two very important things that we need to do every single day. One is to exercise. People get out there, exercise. Find ways to stay physically active, and you got to eat healthy. Even if you do get COVID, the healthier you are, the better chances you have at fighting it. So stay healthy, Bob. I believe everyone. I believe in the island. I believe in the support system, and we're gonna make it through this. We just gotta stick together.
Thank you, Chubby.
Thanks guys for joining us this morning.
Right. Thanks,
Doing
Tom.
great work, guys.
Thank you, Steve. Thank
very
you,
much.
Rome.
Thank you.
See you, Chubby. Thank you, Attorney Tom Fisher. Thanks for hanging out. What'd you make of that discussion, Tom?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
What did you make of that discussion? Pretty entertaining, and I felt like it was,
Informative.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I thought it was excellent. I agree with very much what the gentleman said. Particularly, the governor's got some hard choices to make. Nobody's going to deny that. Nobody would really want to be in her shoes, but that's why she was elected. We as an island, we liked her vision that she put forward, and that's why we chose her to be governor. I would like to hear from Adelup where they see Guam 1 year from today. Do they see any tourists coming back? What are the projections of revenue? What's the healthcare system going to look like? What's policing going to look like? What's our business community going to look like? None of this is normal. We actually canceled an election during this process. We are actually telling the citizens to stay home. None of this has ever happened before. We realize that. But there is no way out of this but to get the engine started again, and the engine is business. Got to get people back to work. Got to get the taxes paid. And, we're all, in that sense, we all have exactly the same goal.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see
Thanks,
you.
Tom.
See you guys. Thanks again. It's been real. Some definite real talk. 10:08. Good job today, Bree.
Good job, man. That was really good discussion.
Yeah, pretty neat. Thank you to we reached out to these guys. Really, it was just like, who can we get? Oh, let's get these. Okay, fine, and they came on.
And I like it because